power, one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. The different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. And we'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power, oh, one power, one power is what we are. One power, one power. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for its love that's most deep. It's one power. It's one power. What we are is one power.
There is only one power, and all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity. So am I, and so it is. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown, Atlanta. We're so glad you decided to join us today. And as we are doing this whole series on the very basics of spirituality, the very basics of the science of mind, our new thought spirituality. And so I'm very glad you're here, whoever you are. We celebrate you. We believe in you because we know who you are. We know that you are an expression of the divine. You are that one power showing up as your life in your life. And so whoever you are, whatever your background, whatever path you've traveled until now, whatever stories you may tell yourself about yourself, ultimately and finally, I know and we know that this is the truth of who you are. You are an expression of this one power, an expression of the divine, having a physical, spiritual experience of living. So welcome, sit back, enjoy, participate, and allow that one power, that oneness that is also not only is you, but is flowing through you to inform you and to guide you this day in what is the greatest possible truth for you. We at the Center for Spiritual Living have a set of beliefs that we do teach. They are more guidelines than they are a rigid kind of doctrine. But these are what we believe. These are the ideas, and they're held in the Declaration of Principle. I believe
in one God,
one absolute power and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love
and creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life
and the immortality of the individual soul,
forever unfolding.
I believe
in the eternal goodness,
the eternal goodness of God,
the eternal loving kindness,
and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. We are first and foremost a spiritual community, living and teaching and working within the realm of new thought. You just saw some of our community members. If you come and join us after this on Zoom, you will get to meet others of us and have an opportunity to ask your questions and speak your truth. So I invite you to join us after this. Right now, some of those folks you saw there were people who we call spiritual mind practitioners or religious science practitioners. Basically, they are folks who have learned this teaching to such an extent that they've incorporated into their lives in order to change their lives, in order to bring about and receive greater good for themselves, and also able to do that and help others to expand their receptivity to receive greater good as well. Today, we have one of those wonderful practitioners, one of our co-leaders, I almost said Reverend, sorry, Doug, not a Reverend yet, Doug Moody. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Deen, and good morning, CSL Midtown, Atlanta, and beyond. January 9th, 2022. What an exciting new year, an opportunity for a new you and life experience. So what are you thinking and feeling about that? I love the title of this morning's talk, Tag Your It. What I love about it is that in this navigation and learning about what to do or planning out or what we aspire for ourselves and for the world in this new year, it reminds us that it should be a playful, joyful journey. Not like my earlier Catholic school days where you got detention with Sister Mary bench press. This is a joyful, loving God, and this is a joyful, loving, and giving life. And that is what we should all be thinking for ourselves. I'm reminded of some really wonderful, simple quotes that have a lot to do with today's lesson and theme of our talk, Tag Your It. In this series, this is traditionally the week 2, and in the old Science of Mind text, which I have since I started in this teaching in 1986. Chapter 2 is entitled The Way It Works. And so in thinking about this, we learned that from Ernest Holmes, there's a very important quote that reminds us that change your thinking, change your life. You see it in the bottom corner of these slide decks that we use in our presentation because it's just so essential to this teaching. And it's such a simple and beautiful statement, but it is also a very empowering and impactful statement because it challenges each and every one of us to reconsider, what are we thinking? What are we feeling? Because when we take notice of that and tap into our predominant thought and our predominant feelings that we are experiencing and thinking every day, it will give us very clearly a reflection of what we're experiencing in our lives. And I think this is what Ernest Holmes meant in another great Ernest Holmes quotes, where he says, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. I love the metaphor of the mirror because the mirror is our mind. And what we think and feel into that mirror is going to project back to us as our experience in life. Emma Curtis Hopkins, another great pillar of our teaching, has another beautiful quote that reminds us, the world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is. So again, time to take inventory. So, you don't have to do any of this if you don't want your life to change, or if you want it to just be another year of the same old like it was last year and ho-hum. But it's also a very exciting opportunity to create a new experience and a new life, things that you want to bring to fruition in your life by just simply monitoring your thinking. And when you find something, you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe, no wonder, get a different thought, get a new idea. There's always a greater idea waiting to express itself. And if you have trouble with that, or maybe need a little bit of help with that, just to kind of nudge you along the way, check out our CSL Midtown website and reach out to a practitioner. We're here to help you out. We're not going to tell you what to think or what to do. We're going to pull it out of you in a way that you're going to have an aha moment and realize that you've always had it right here inside yourself. It's just been waiting patiently and joyfully, but excitedly to come out and be the full expression, joyful expression of your life. So in light of that, I'm going to go on to our next portion of this program where I am going to offer an affirmative prayer. And with this, I ask you to just sit back in your seats and relax. I'm going to say this in the first person and ask you to accept whatever resonates with you, and whatever doesn't, just let it go over and don't even worry about it. But let's just all sit back and relax and take a deep breath. Exhale and know this with me. There is only one power, one divine infinite source of creation, one empowering intelligence, that cosmic something operating throughout the universe and operating through me and each present, right here, right now, and always. When I recognize the presence of this spirit within me and within each person, I am connected infinitely with the one life, with the one source of all creation, with the one source of all that is. And this is a very empowering, very deep and powerful, exciting connection. And knowing this, Today, I claim divine wisdom, divine love, divine right action, divine courage, guiding me in each forward in a greater and greater expression of life, knowing that how I choose to think and how I monitor those feelings that cause those thoughts and thinking is the power in how it works in creating the life I desire. So I tune into that. I tune into my thoughts. I tune into my feelings. I give them a tune-up where they're needed. I know that I have all that I need within me to make and create the life I desire by thinking and feeling correctly. The source of it all is love. I possess that love inside, as does each beautiful soul present. And I call this love forward, this passion, this drive, this will to live greatly, to live boldly, and to live lovingly. I'm so grateful for this teaching, this science of mind teaching that guides me in each forward every single day. I'm grateful for our staff here at Centers for Spiritual Living, Midtown Atlanta, for Dr. Bob Deen, for New Thought Media and Radio, for making this beautiful broadcast positively possible and reaching out to the world. And knowing this, I'm so grateful for the spirit of life that is within me and each, calling us forward into a greater and fuller expression of life. This is wonderful. And I let my word go out into the universal law, claiming it is done. I simply let it be so. It is wonderful. So are you. So am I. And together we know. And so it is. Thank you. And now I'm going to ask you to sit back. I had a lot of fun finding this piece of music. It just seemed to fit so perfectly for today's lesson and talk. And I know Dr. Bob Deen is going to have a lot more tips on how we should all be playing tag. So enjoy. This song is entitled What You Think, and it's by an empower music artist named Dana Agnellini, which I've never heard before. But check it out. I think you're going to love it.
Everything you think about, everything you feel inside, everything you focus on shows up on the outside. Good or bad, it's up to you. Whatever you believe is true, the universe will give it to you every time. It's time to use the power of your mind. The power of attraction, well, it's the law of mind in action. And then a whole chain reaction is what you get. Pay attention to your mind, 'cause you're creating all the time. Oh, what you think is what you get. Yeah, what you think is what you get. Standing in the light of love, I'm calling on the heavens above. Push is finally coming to shove in my life. Thank God that I can finally see the creator of my world is me. There'll be no more victim thinking for me in my life. I'm gonna use the power of my mind. The power of attraction, well, it's the law of mind in action. And then a whole chain reaction is what you get. Pay attention to your mind, 'cause you're creating all the time. Oh, what you think is what you get. care. Pay attention to your mind, 'cause you're creating all the time. Oh, what you think is what you get. Oh, what you think is what you get. Oh, what you think is what you get.
Well, there you have it. What you think is what you get. I can stop now, but I won't. You know, following up on Doug's comment about life being fun and playful, I'd like to, it reminded me of Harriet Scoville Shin's book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's a wonderful book. It's an old book, and it's one of the early texts for New Thought in this country. And in there, she talks about that life is a game, and we just need to learn to play it. Well, one of the games I absolutely hated as a kid, and it was the game that my cousins all wanted to play the most. We were quite a few of us, big family. And so the family got together quite frequently and always wanted to play either tag or hide and seek. So both of those required somebody to be it. And the requirement for being it was that you chased everyone else to try to tag them or catch them before they or find them in their hiding places. And to really be it and keep being it, you had to be slow, and you had to have a real inability to think creatively about where people might be hiding. And consequently, I was always it. And it got to the point after a while that whenever I would become it, which was usually pretty early in the game because somebody tagged me because I couldn't run as fast as most of the others, and except the really little ones, and they were too little to play with us much. But somebody along the way, one of the other cousins would take pity on me and let me catch them just so that I could get out of that spot, because it stopped being fun for anybody for me to be it for very long. And, you know, and being a smart kid, I also noticed that while we were outside doing that, and I was running around being miserable, trying to either keep from being it or being it and feeling like a complete failure, I noticed that the adults inside were doing a lot of talking. When our family got together, we didn't have television yet, and yeah, I know I'm old, but the interesting part to me was they told stories, and often it would be the men in one room, the women in the other. Other times they would all be together and telling stories of the family and stories of their experiences during wars and old stories about each other as kids and what they did and didn't do and where they got in trouble. And I discovered that was a lot more interesting. So I started being it by being the only kid in the room, and I could be really quiet and not noticed. So they didn't have to, they didn't monitor or edit their stories too much. And I got to learn so much about life and what lessons they had learned and what they could do and what they could not do. And I decided that being it in that way was my way of it. Later on, as I discovered religion and first heard and learned that it was really in your heart, not out there somewhere. And then later I learned the theology about doing power outside and power within and all that. It wasn't though until I got into this teaching that it became so clear and so foundational for me that there is one power, and that one power is within, and therefore I am and you are it. We are the place where that one power shows up in the world for us, as us. And yes, it's showing up out there among others as well, but the real focus of it, the real power of it, the real importance of it is right here inside of me and right there inside of you, wherever you are. You are the center of your universe. If the universe is eternal and forever and stretches on beyond, then wherever you are at the center of it, because you're the center of that eternal place. Ernest Holmes says this about us as individuals. He says that we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something. Call it what you will. The sum total of all our thought, our will, our purpose, and belief creates a tendency in spiritual law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. That's a long quote. There's a lot of words. What it basically means is, though, we are in the center of this powerful creative energy that creates life, that is life itself, and that created everything that we see and know, excuse me, and that is within itself. I used to say it created it out of itself, but that implies that we go out away from it, whereas in truth, it creates all that is within itself, so that you and I have our shape and form and place of being within this one power, this one thing, this one universal something, whatever you call it. You call it God, you call it spirit. I love that one power song. That is the anthem, as far as I'm concerned, the New Thought anthem that says it all. And the greatness of that is that as I look at what that means for me individually, it means the center of all of that is available to me. And like it or not, fast or slow, clumsy or very light on my feet, either way that goes, I'm still it. It is still up to me to create my life according to my desires. I'm pausing just so you can think about that a minute. It's up to me. You see, this one power creates everything out of itself. And if you recognize that one power is infinite, we talked about this last week, it is all-knowing, it is all-powerful, and it is everywhere present all the time, then an infinite means there's only one. You can't have two infinites. Then you got finites. You can't have two absolutes. You've got, because then you have relatives. Boy, do we have relatives. So what we're after here is getting this concept down as clearly as we can, that this one power, this one energy, this one something, no matter what the world may look like and the way things are batted back and forth between seemingly opposing ideas, and we'll get to that later, there is only one. So spirit, God, infinite, the thing itself, plus nothing, created you. You're made of God stuff, because there's nothing else anything can be made of. We know from science that these physical expressions of life, these physical bodies that we have, the chairs you're sitting in, the forms and the shapes around us, when you start looking more closely at them, we begin to discover they're really mostly empty space, tiny bits of energy held together by relationships of gravity and attachment and connection, that if we knew how to do it, we could walk through walls, we could float in space on our own. We don't know how to do it yet. But none of it's solid. It all breaks down to this field of energy and information when you look very closely at it. And then you look more closely at it, and some scientists today are calling it, what you're seeing is really consciousness. So you are a conscious being. So that amazing power that is, it is taken shape and form as you. Wow. Isn't that awesome to think about yourself that way? Isn't that different? Now, it's not an ego thing to say, hey, I'm God and you're my helpers. No, this is about you recognizing the value, the love, and the energy and power that has gone into who you are in creating you in this time and space. And unlike some older theologies, you're created perfect, whole, and complete. And it's your opportunity then to turn that even greater wholeness and completeness into expressions of life according to the desires that you have. So you have a kind of blueprint. You know what you really want. You know who you really are and where you like to be. And if you don't know, then you know how to, hopefully through this teaching and other places, you'll find out. But knowing who you are is that beginning place of saying, and this is who I am, therefore this is who I'm becoming. Now, if you're wondering who you are and wondering what you believe and what you really think, if this is all new to you, then the quick, easy way to find out is, as the song said, is to look at the world around you. Look at your life. Your life is a reflection of what you are and what you believe in consciousness, what you most truly hold close to you. That's who you are. See, here's the other cool part about being it. And I'm so glad to be it, unlike my childhood experiences, because being it includes with it everything you need, everything you require, everything that you can imagine having and experiencing to create the life you desire, the life of your choosing. Think about that for a little bit. It comes equipped. There's not a written out manual, unfortunately. Some days I think somebody needs to, well, people have written them, many of them, on this thing called life and how to live it, another book. But life itself has within the energy of it, the presence of it within you, everything you need in order to create the life, because the real power of creating your life is your thought, is your conscious, focused, intentional, desired thought. Where you put your head whenever you're, the best way to think about that is when you're sitting at a traffic light in your car in neutral, waiting for the thing to turn, where does your mind go? Because that will give you an idea of what's running most actively and in your mind going on all the time. And that's what's creating your life experiences. See, one of the characteristics of this one power that we talk about are a couple of characteristics that are really important where this is concerned, are that its very nature is power, the power to create, the power to be, the power to bring new forms into shape, the power to hold those forms as long as they're useful, and coupled with that, freedom, absolute, complete freedom. So, with absolute and complete freedom and power, think about that. That is both a wonderful blessing and a terrifying thing. Because when I make messes, I make big, powerful, ugly messes of things. Early on in my spiritual growth into this teaching, I had a sponsor in the 12-step program who said, you are the most creative human being I know. You make the most creative, powerfully messy messes I've ever seen. And you know what? We're gonna help you learn how to take that same creativity and turn it on its end and create wonderful, powerful, unmessy experiences for yourself. See, the power to create with the freedom to create is why things are the way they are, because we are creating with that thought before we have any idea that that's what we're doing. And if, like me, you had many life experiences and teaching that was anything but loving, powerful, peaceful, truthful, then your messes are being created out of that consciousness and that thought. My teacher used to say, we spend the first half of our lives making a mess so we have something to do the last half of our lives, which is cleaning it up and learning and growing from it. And I think there's some truth in that. See, that freedom is yours to take that power and energy and use it wherever you want to. The classic example for that is the electricity. You have electricity flowing in your walls. Probably the plugs are close by. You get to choose. Do I use that electricity to plug in a light bulb, plug in a mixer, or plug in a a toy that might shock my kids or my friends or whoever, whatever negative, destructive thing you can think of to use for electricity. And that electricity doesn't care. It's just electricity. It's just energy. This power that comes through us alone is just power. It doesn't care which way we plug it in. As long as it's showing up, we're living life, then we get to use it whichever way. And we can make messes, or we can have wonderful, wonderful experiences. See, it's not a question of this infinite love being either unwilling or unable to provide for us at all. Everything you desire is sitting there, buzzing in the wall like that electricity, waiting for you to use it, to create it. What is missing, what we need to learn, is the opportunity of how do we receive more good. We don't have to create it because it's already there. It's in the life. Love, joy, peace, harmony, fabulous relationships, prosperity, everything that you see in the world around you, whether you feel like it's yours or not, is available to you. We have to learn to be more receptive on how to receive it. Thomas Troward said that in order for nature to serve us, we must first serve it. We must first surrender to it. When he talked about nature, he was talking about the natural world, the natural life, and all of these spiritual ideas are part of that natural life. There's nothing supernatural about any of it. It's very natural. So in essence, what it means is we must understand how it works. Electricity was around for billions of years, since the beginning of the universe, since the beginning of time, since everything started. But it was only about 300 years ago, at least that we know of on this planet, that somebody said, I wonder if we can use that somehow for ourselves. I wonder if we could receive it in a way that doesn't blow us off the planet with the shock of it. And Ben Franklin sent up his kite and with the string attached and the key on the end. And sure enough, he was able to bring that electricity from the cloud into the jar, which was maybe not the first one, and certainly not the only one experimenting at that time. But he began to discover there's a way to receive. And from there, look at where the world has gone. Look at what we've learned to do. Look at the good we've received. And how much of the power is all about not whether it's there and available, but whether our willingness to receive it, and then the choices we make about how to use it once we understand that it's ours to use. It's so important that we get this using and living in the flow of things according to how it's designed and how it's put together. Imagine your hard drive on your computer is getting cluttered up. It's getting full of half complete, fragmented kinds of files and other things, and your computer is just getting slower and slower. You get really frustrated at some point and decide, well, I really need to clean up this hard drive. So you do the logical thing. You unplug it. You take it in your kitchen. You fill up the sink with soapy water, and you put the hard drive and the whole computer in there and scrub it really good to get that hard drive cleaned up. Well, please do not try that at home. Anybody that's thinking that, you need to call me and we'll talk. You know, you get it. It's silly, right? You wouldn't dare try to clean your hard drive with soap and water. And yet we so often get confused and mixed up about how to create greater good for ourselves, how to receive greater good for ourselves, because we didn't first understand how it works. And so we try to create greater peace by screaming and yelling at one another about what's wrong with you, instead of greater peace by finding peaceful connection with the other. Or we try to create wonderful relationships. I can't tell you how many times I have done work with people who were looking for a relationship and spend the first half of their time with me telling me what's wrong with that other group, that other person, those other people. What's wrong with those people? I think it was Irma Bombeck that wrote a book called Men Are Pigs and I Love Bacon. Got to find a way. Can't believe I just did that. I know it's politically way off the charts, but forgive me. The idea is whatever the otherness seems to be, whatever that otherness seems to be that we need to make better in order for us to be okay, we got to find a way for us to make it better in our understanding of them. Because that gets the flow moving, that gets the love going, that gets the peace going. Bombing for peace. I've seen some interesting things about that. Why that's so absurd. There's no way peace can come out of that. Not real peace. I think about prosperity. You know, there's so much fear right now about the economy and what's happening in the economy and what we're going to do and how we're going to manage all that. And yet we don't treat prosperity in the way that nature has designed it. Think about how water works. It flows, it moves, it flows. Think about prosperity, currency, as we call it in the money world. It is a current that flows. You know, and if those of you who may remember the old pumps you had in the kitchen where you could pump this and the water comes out, but you had to keep some extra water on the side because the only way to get the pump going after it had been sitting a while because the pipe had drained was to pour some water in it to prime it and create the suction, and then the flow starts. Well, prosperity works that way all the way through. You got to prime the pump. You feel like you're having a lack and a limitation, then find a way to give more. Don't hold back. Don't try to pull. You can't create a greater flow by holding back from it. You can't keep things moving and flowing in your life if you've got your fist clenched tight and you're holding on to it. You got to let it go. Prosperity will only go and grow as you are giving more to those things that you value. This center, if it's a place of spiritual giving, of spiritual receptivity to you, wherever there are places in your life that you think of as good and providing you greater good, give to those places. That's where the real energy and flow of prosperity will be and will come from. Not just whatever happens to be left over at the end, but what you put in the beginning to prime the pump, to get it going. What do you want to have? What kind of flow do you want to have? Prime the pump by giving accordingly at the beginning, not at the end. So all of that is about understanding nature and how it works and using it. That's what this center is all about, is teaching us how to use these natural, practical experiences and life being the way life is. As we learn more and more about it, we learn more and more about how to use it. Doug was talking about change your thinking, change your life. Well, we're going to offer a course. It's starting at the end of this month on change your thinking, change your life. Some real practical how-tos to do that and bring that about and allow that to happen. I'm also going to be talking about it a little later this month as well. So you see, it's really important through all of this that we need to develop our faith and our beliefs in our faith in what we believe and our faith in what we are thinking. We need to learn to pay attention to what you're thinking. It's a great practice to use your cell phone and every so often just stop and think about, what am I thinking about? And jot it down. And then notice over time where your thoughts are going, and then look at what's happening in your life and see if there's a connection. You begin to pay attention and learn those things. So I want to leave you with this quote. So then, knowing that the thing can work for us, the thing, God, spirit, life, can work for us only through us. See, that's the key. It's got to be through you, because why? You're it. Let us begin today, right now, this moment, to accept more good than we experienced yesterday, and to know that we shall reap a harvest of fulfilled desires. That's what you deserve, because you're wonderful. Absolutely. How could you be otherwise? You're created within the God itself. You're wonderful, so am I, and so it is. So take a moment, if you will, and let's just sit quietly. Close your eyes if you feel so guided. With a nice breath in and a breath out. And as you settle into this, quietly allow one thought, one idea, one desire for greater good in your life to show up. Imagine a greater experience of good that you want to have. Greater prosperity, more love, more connectivity, no more isolation, but the opposite of isolation, having community and connection. Whatever that may be for you. And then declare it is yours. By the power of spirit within you, by the power of life within you. Open your heart, your mind, and your experiences to receive the greater expression of that good, the greater opportunity for that good. You may put it in an affirmation. I know I am. And maybe the affirmation for all of us right now is that we are celebrating the spirit that life is living through me. Celebrating the life that spirit is living through me. And you can be specific about what that is. And as you celebrate it, watch it in your life expand. Because as I said before, you're wonderful, so it is. Thank you. Now we're going to hear from Vance as he talks a little more about prosperity.
There we go. Unmute. Thank you, Bob, for that wonderful talk this morning and what we can do with the thing itself in our lives. I'm the treasurer for the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, and I enjoy this, what we have, what we teach, what we get to learn from each other, from Dr. Bob on Sundays and the classes that we have. And with that, I would invite you to join and support, and we are supported very well, but allow us to continue that support this year, going into what we've got planned for doing this year, coming back in person at some point, and what that requires. So if you would read with me our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. I freely and joyfully give. I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And you can donate online at www.CSL Midtown or scan the little QR code. It'll take you right there, and you can set up your giving, one-time or ongoing recurring giving, depending on what your situation is and what you want to do. Thank you so much. And back to announcements.
And it's time for everybody's favorite fun game, announcements. Hey, stay in touch with the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown through our newsletter. Get one email a week letting you stay informed. And please subscribe when visiting YouTube to our YouTube channel. Those subscriptions go a long, long way. And while you're on your social media, why not give us a like and a share on Facebook? Let your friends know what we're doing. invite them to come watch our services with you. And join us on our Zoom room throughout the week. We offer a variety of Zoom interaction opportunities each and every week here as part of the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. 10 a.m. Sundays, our discussion group around the 365 Science of Mind book. Every Sunday, 12 noon Sundays, our community fellowship immediately following our Sunday services. And 12 noon on Tuesday, our online empowerment opportunity. The access information remains the same for all of our Zoom experiences. If you need access, please visit cslmidtown.org and you'll find access information on our website. Join us on any of our Zoom opportunities throughout the week. And while you're with us, be sure to connect with one of our professional practitioners. These are folks that are highly trained to support you along your spiritual journey. You can learn more on our website about our professional practitioners. Just head over to cslmidtown.org, click on About and Practitioners. Then you'll see their bios and a way to reach them and learn a little bit more about each of them. And please send us your prayer requests. Click on the Home tab and look for Affirmative Treatment Prayer Requests. Fill out the form, send it off, and get our professional practitioners praying for you each and every day. All right.
So welcome and thank you. Well, welcome. Yes, welcome next week. Welcome for the rest of this time. I want to remind you that we do meet on Zoom immediately after this for discussion. And today we'll probably be talking about what greater good do you want to receive? What's the good that's coming into your life and being expanded right now? I will also remind you that we have a class starting at the end of this month, the last Wednesday, called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. This is one of the classes that is certificated by Centers for Spiritual Living. There is a charge. All the information about it is on our website, cslmidtown.org, and also in newsletters. If you have any questions about it, please contact us. We'd be happy to share with you what that's all about. And it'll be a place where you can learn how to use this amazing power moving through us by changing what we think. So join me now in our closing as we share together this affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Thank you for being with me.